let's talk about the game today. Because, yeah, that was freaking amazing. Um, I was not coming into this game expecting. I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. Because, don't get me wrong, I realize we're playing very well right now. I realize we've got a good team put together. But this is our first time playing one of the best sides in another league. The Reals, the Barças, the Atleticos. We haven't really faced a team like that in 2 3 years. It's been a while, and on top of that, it's Conte's first time facing a team like that with us. And so it's kind of a question of how is this game going to go? We're playing in Spain, which is always going to be difficult. Honestly, comparing like this game to the Man City game over the weekend, this game is probably going to be a bit more difficult. Not because Man City is not as good a team or anything, but that game's going to be at home, and even if we were playing in Manchester, it's still in England. This is a game where not only are you going to Spain, but you're going to Atletico Madrid's place, and they are known for having some of the best fans in most of Europe. They're one of the teams that typically have a very strong fan base, and you could hear it. Just listening to it. Had to watch most of it on my phone, but you could just hear the fans were so rowdy and noisy, and that kind of atmosphere can be intimidating to be a part of. So going into it, I wasn't really sure what to expect. To come out of it with a draw would have been a great result. To come out of it with a win is incredible. But on top of all of that, to be the more dominant team against Atletico Madrid, it fills me with so much hope for this season. I mean, we truly looked the better team on the night. Now, I do want to throw in there that it was sort of because Atletico was playing a bit more of a counterattacking style. So they were letting us play, and then they were trying to hit us on the counterattack whenever we got down the field. So that did play into it a little bit. But still, I mean, we created the best chances. The only goal they got was from a PK. I mean, that's really, really impressive overall. So before I get into, I guess, talking about the team, as per usual, I do want to talk about the referees because I really hope that maybe being in the Champions League, maybe the referees would be different. Maybe there wouldn't be any bias or anything, but there was. Now, the penalty, I do think it's a penalty, and I'll talk about David Luiz in a second on that. But my problem with it is not that call. It's that 15 minutes earlier, you see Juan Fran hugging Alonso across the top of the box. And I can't remember who it was. It was either Saul or Koke. I don't remember who. But one of them, whoever was marking Murata, has him in like a headlock, pretty much. Like his arm is around his head. There's no call. There's nothing. Why? Because both of those players stayed on their feet. Whoever got fouled, whoever went to ground, they fall down. They instantly look up at the referee, and he was calling it all night, and he called this one too. So it's just really frustrating to see. Well, yes, I do think that's a penalty. David Luiz is a moron for tugging his shirt. You got to call it both ways. You got to call those fouls in the box. That's two fouls on the same play in the box, and you call nothing. And then one foul in the box is just a simple shirt tug, and that's, instantly a penalty. Instantly. No thought, no communicating. It was instant penalty. Really, really frustrating. But aside from that, it was just mainly the little stuff that was going one way. That was really, really frustrating. And it's happened to us quite a few games now where, we're getting knocked around, our players are getting tugged and pulled, and nothing's being called, and then their players flop over. And it's always a foul. It's always a foul. It's always a foul. I tell you what, I lost a little bit of respect for Felipe Luis tonight. I don't really remember. I do remember him playing for us. I do remember most of his playing for us. But I did not remember him being this much of a baby. Like every single time a challenge comes in, there's always a noise. There's always, like you could hear him through the microphone, through the TV. That's how loud he was. I mean, he was freaking crying for everything. The worst one had to be whenever Conte comes in, wins the ball, doesn't even really touch him, but he sees his studs are up, so he goes down and he's holding his shin. He's like, just screaming and yelling. I'm like, dude, he didn't even touch you. So yeah, it was really, really frustrating for the refs tonight, but we managed to get past that. We managed to find a way back into the game and go on and win it. So I'm not too pissed about it, but I am still frustrated that these referees' decisions are still going against us. I realize as a fan I'm probably a bit biased. There are probably some of these calls that I think are soft that maybe other fans are looking and saying, no, they're not soft. But you can't deny that there have been some bad decisions going against Chelsea recently. I mean, Crouch not getting a red card, the penalty in this game, the little decisions that led up to David Luiz's eventually going into stupid challenge against Arsenal. It feels like it's pretty one-sided against us, but whatever the case, let's talk about our team now. First of all, the lineup, pretty much what I did expect to see. You got David Luiz coming in for this game since he's not available for the league. I did expect to see Cahill in. I expected to see Spilicueta in the back line. So pretty much what I expected there. I'm glad to have seen Bakayoko and Conte together in midfield as well as Fabregas. I think that's something we might want to look at as far as if you need a game where you need to hold down the midfield, you need to control the midfield a bit more. I think this is a lineup that works very well because you've got Fabregas, Conte, and Bakayoko, all three in there, and then you've got Hazard and Morata both sort of up top playing together up there. It works out pretty well, and that releases either Bakayoko or Conte or Fabregas. Any of them can now get up and help out in the attack, while the other two stay back a little bit more defensive. That works really well. It releases them to have a bit more freedom to say, all right, well, I'm going to stay back on this one. I just made a run forward. I need a bit of a break, and so somebody else can say, all right, I got this one. I don't know. It really works out. It looks nice whenever it's working, and for the most part, it was working throughout this game. We controlled a lot of the midfield. It felt like we were really dominant in our play. Love to see it. It was so good to watch. Um, so that's about it for the lineup. Very, very pleased with the lineup. Obviously, do have some frustrations with Cahill, but I do understand why he's playing. He is still technically our captain, so even though Terry was our captain last year and didn't play a whole lot for whatever reason, Cahill's our captain this year, and he's playing a lot, and I don't think he deserves it, but that's just my opinion. Let's talk about individual performances. Courtois had to come up with some pretty big saves. They weren't very difficult saves. He wasn't tested, I don't think, as much as Oblak was for most of this game. But he did have to make a few crucial saves. I will say I'm still pretty disappointed with the penalty. This is not the first penalty that he's given up this season, but I don't know. I just feel like he's always guessing. And at a professional level, if they go down the middle, that's embarrassing. You just got embarrassed because you guessed and dove out of the way of a shot that was coming right at you. I've always been, it's been a pet peeve of mine to watch a keeper dive out of the way of a shot that went right down the middle because that means you just guessed. You just hope for the best. You didn't actually try to read it. You didn't try to read the body position or anything. You just said, all right, well, I think he's going to go this way. And then you were completely wrong. And if you just stood your ground, if you just stood there for a second and tried to read where he's going a bit more, there's a pretty good chance that you make the save because it'll be coming right at you. But I don't know, probably just me. I realize there's a lot more mind games that goes into it, but from my view, I've always been a fan of keepers that don't guess. They try to read the play, and then either they react to it quickly or they've done enough research on a player that they know which way they're going to go. They've made an educated guess. But to see a keeper dive out of the way of a shot that's coming right down the middle is very frustrating for me. Into the defense, Espilicueta, very good game from him tonight. Honestly, it's been kind of a question for me. I want to know why Espilicueta doesn't play for Spain. And watching him tonight, that question just kept popping up in my mind. Because I'm watching him play, he's dominating the back line again. I'm just like, how does he not play for Spain? How does he not make the starting lineup? He is such a good defender. He's so solid. He's very good on top of that. We've seen him put in some really dangerous crosses as well. I don't understand how he doesn't make it into the lineup, but tonight was just another very good performance from him. David Luiz, again, just like against Arsenal, overall a pretty solid game, but then a moment of stupidity. And that moment of stupidity really hurts us. Against Arsenal, not only did it put us down to 10 men for the last few minutes of the game, and now we're, where we could have been trying to push for the last few minutes, trying to get a late winner. Now we're down a man, and so now we have to think more defensive and hope to hold on to a point. And now we don't have you for the next few games. In this game, same thing. Moment of stupidity, you lose track of your man. Instead of just letting him go, because he wasn't like he was, he was running into a crowd of people, and Courtois had the ball covered. Instead of just letting him go, he grabs onto his shirt and tugs him back, and now gives away a penalty. It's frustrating to see some of that naivete that we saw a few years ago when we sold him, and we were all excited to be rid of him because he was sporadic, he was all over the place, he was a crazy defender. He came back last year and he matured. He looked a much more mature defender, he looked much more solid, but now this is 2 games in a row for him that he's returned back to that naive defender that we saw a few years ago. And I don't know, it kind of concerns me that we're starting to see that from him now. We're starting to see that return to the wild, crazy defender, because I don't want that. I don't want a defender back there that's going to be wild and crazy. I don't want a defender that's going to possibly put us down to 10 men or give away penalties. I want a defender that's going to be more solid. And honestly, if another mistake happens in the next game that he plays in, I fully expect to see Christensen be our starting center back. The one in the middle, because he's looked much more solid. He hasn't done anything stupid. He hasn't given away any penalties. He hasn't given the ball away to people. Now, while David Luiz can put in a very good ball, over the top, we've seen him do that many, many times. I would much rather have a defender that can defend well than a defender that can do that and then gives away penalties or gets a red card. That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, other people still love him for what he does on the ball. But yeah, it's really frustrating to me to see him return to that wild and crazy side that we saw and I thought he had gotten rid of. Cahill on the left side didn't have a poor game, but he was definitely the weakness in our back line, mainly because there was just a lack of pace. And so you could see whenever the cleverness from Atletico's attacking line started to show its head, he wasn't ready for it. He wasn't prepared to deal with it. They were playing around him, little 1-2s. Alonso's gone up the field to help out in the attack, and he's a little bit slow getting back, and so now our left side looks so exposed. And that's where a lot of their best chances came from, was them playing down our left side, getting in behind Cahill, Alonso, slow to get back, and so now they're in a ton of space, they can find a cross, and that's where it got really scary. So, it wasn't a terrible performance overall. He still held his own fairly well. It was just those moments, those mistakes, the lack of ability to close down a forward and keep him from playing around him. There are too many moments like that. And to be our captain, to be the guy who's supposed to be our best defender, to have the lack of quality that he does to deal with that, it's pretty concerning. But yeah, I still really pulling for Rudiger to get more starts over him, because Rudiger, I think, has the quality to deal with that. I think he's got enough pace and enough strength to deal with any sort of cleverness that the strikers have on the other side. So hoping to see Rudiger in the weekend. Into the midfield, Alonso and Moses on the wing backs again. Very interesting to see them start 2 games in a row, but they handled themselves pretty well. Alonso did get caught out of position a few times, but aside from that, put in a pretty quality performance, good on the ball, made good runs, helped out with the attack enough to sort of pin Atletico back into their own defensive area. And Moses, typical Moses, just working hard up and down the wings. Sometimes not effective, but I do appreciate the work effort that he puts in. He just constantly moves. He's putting good pressure on whoever's on the left wing for Atletico. He's making sure they don't have free room to just run at our defense. He is doing a very good job defensively this year, and it's something that was a bit concerning last year. He wasn't the best defender, but he's definitely come a long way and put in another pretty solid performance overall. Into the midfield, the middle of the midfield, it was kind of a off and on night for all 3 of them. They had their moments. I would say of the 3, Conte probably had the most solid performance overall. But Bakayoko and Fabregas did have some good moments, but there were quite a few mistakes as well. Bakayoko turning over the ball, getting it picked off of him a few times. He seems a little bit slow sometimes when he's dribbling in the midfield. Then again, there are times whenever he seems really fast, and he seems like he's just bullying through the midfield. So, I don't know. tonight it seemed like there were more of the getting the ball picked off of the moments than there were bullying through the midfield moments. So I was a little bit disappointed with him and Fabregas. I think his passing just wasn't quite coming off tonight. I don't know if it's because Atletico were putting him under such high pressure or if it was just a different style of game, and so the over the top ball wasn't working as well tonight as it usually does, and so that's normally his game. Um, so I don't know. Bakayoko and Fabregas definitely had quite a few mistakes that riddled throughout their game. Conte did have a couple mistakes as well, but I saw so much good from him. Winning the ball back, dribbling down the field, putting pressure on the back line. I saw so much of that I didn't really notice the mistakes as much. They were there, but I think he did enough to really hold down the midfield. He really did run it for most of the night. So very good to see from him. Hopefully, Bakayoko and Fabregas. Hopefully, this was just a blip for both of them. Bakayoko has shown in the past couple games that passing isn't really his strong suit. He can, but at the same time, he probably gives the ball away most out of those three. So I don't know. I'm hoping he'll work on that a little bit and start to really progress and become an all-around good midfielder. And then the two up front, Hazard and Morata. Hazard first full start against, I guess, more quality opposition. No offense to Nottingham Forest, but that's a championship side. This is a strong Champions League quality team. So yeah, first full start against a team like that, against a defense that's going to knock you around because of all the Spanish teams, Atletico are definitely the most likely to play the English style of I'm going to hit you and I'm going to run you over. So Hazard, dealing with that fairly well, putting himself into good positions. Brilliant little cross to set up Morata's goal, and just look back to what we've come to expect from him. That quick little darting run, putting the defenders on their heels, getting fouls in very promising positions for us. So yeah, I'm really excited to see him start against Man City. I believe he will because he looked like he's back to full fitness in this game, and you sub him off early, which means hopefully you're giving him a little bit of a rest to prepare him for the game on Saturday because, we do need him. It showed tonight that his quality just really, really threatens back lines, and because Man City's back line is a little bit on the weaker side, I think we definitely need him to really make sure that they're pinned back in their own area and they don't have a chance to counterattack. And, we've seen Man City's attack is very, very solid this season. So we need to make sure that we have a player like Hazard in there who just really makes sure that they don't really get out. And then Morata, overall, pretty good game from him. Very good goal to get another header goal on top of that. But I think the biggest thing for him was just you saw the effort he put in tonight, and it was pretty effective. The defenders had a difficult night with him. They were not given free rein to just sort of win the ball and then go right back at us. And that's something that I think is very important for Morata to start doing because questions have been asked. Is he going to be able to take Costa's place? Is he going to be as mean as Costa? Da-da-da-da-da. All these different questions. I think he is. I think he's done a very good job so far, not just of scoring goals, but showing he can battle. He wanted it tonight. You could see the passion. I don't know if it was coming back to the other side of Madrid, because he did just come to us from Real. I don't know if maybe there was a little bit of a rivalry there. He wanted to stick it to him a little bit. But whatever the case, he came in ready to play. And he's battling with the defenders. He's knocking them around. He's moving very well. He's forcing them to have to foul him in dangerous positions. I thought overall it was a very good performance from him. So good to see both of our quality players up top doing well. As far as the subs that came in, they were both subbed off, probably, like I said, to give them a little bit of a rest for Saturday. Try to keep them fresh. Try not to pick up any injuries late on. But Willian and Batman both came on. Willian did okay. I was pretty frustrated with him against Stoke at the weekend. So I really wanted to see him come on and work hard and try to create some stuff, and he did for the most part. It just still few lapses in judgment, a few errors here and there. Batman comes on though and scores the winning goal, dying embers of the game. puts himself in a good position. Alonso does well to flick it back across to him, and he's right there and just buries it into the corner away from Oblak. So, yeah, getting himself a goal against Atletico Madrid, really good way to keep your run in the Champions League going. So, I love the fact that he's coming on and managing to score goals. He's a striker that we definitely need going forward. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's managing to get the job done because a lot of people were thinking he's just going to be another backup again this season. But I think he's showing that we do need him. He's not going to outpace Morata. He's not going to beat Morata to the spot or anything like that. But there are a lot of games to be played. We're going to need a backup striker. We're going to need a striker that's going to step in and still be able to do a good job in place of Morata. And Batman's shown he can do it. So good to see him get the goal. And then the last one to come on was Christensen for Fabregas. This pushed David Luiz into the midfield, and he dropped back into that defender role. So, just a little bit more defensive near the end. Looked to try to hold on to a point, and so getting that late goal was just sort of a consolation, just to show how much we dominated the match and to really give us what we deserved, I think, through all of that. And so, like I said at the beginning, the fact that we won is already awesome, but the way we dictated the play, the way we really ran the match, it's exciting to see that we're able to hold our own and even look better than a team like Atletico Madrid. Going forward, really exciting. I'm really looking forward to this season. I was already looking forward to it for many reasons, but I think this result shows we're not just it's Chelsea. They're gonna battle. They're gonna do okay. No, this is Chelsea. We're here. We're here to be champions. We are here to fight all the way to the final. I'm not saying this is going to be our year. I'm not saying that we're going to win and make it all the way to the final and win the final, but we have probably our best chance in quite a few years. Even under Mourinho, when it came to the Champions League, we looked good, but you could see we still lacked a bit of quality. This year, we look like we have the quality. We have all the necessary pieces to really put on a good challenge for both the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm hoping, why not do the double? Let's go for it. I'm really flying high after this match. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this match? What were your thoughts? Who man of the match? All that stuff. Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.